When I was 18 years old, I was just getting off work late at night. I was on the phone with my girlfriend, stopped at a red light, and I thought the light had turned green. And so I went ahead and went and hit something, middle of the intersection. Had no idea what I had hit. My first instinct was to immediately kind of get off whatever I had just hit. And something had kind of stopped me. I don't know what it was, something just said, nope, just stop and look. Put the car in park, opened my door, and right beneath the driver's side door was a man pinned underneath his motorcycle, pinned underneath my car, having a seizure, with his head bleeding, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I immediately kind of break down, sit next to my front left tire, right next to the man, and just start crying. And then out of nowhere, there's nobody around. Out of nowhere, in the middle of the intersection, a woman just comes up to me, gives me a big hug, and whispers in my ear that everything's gonna be okay. Immediately, I felt this sense of peace, that something was looking after me. Paramedics show up, fire department shows up, and he ends up being completely fine. Had a concussion, not a single broken bone, nothing. And that was when I really knew that there was a God that loved me. I just kept going on with my life, right? Focusing on things of this world, going to parties, kind of being an 18-year-old kid. One night at a party, me and my friend came up with this harebrained idea. Hey, let's join the military. So the next day, without telling my parents, my buddy and I went down to the recruiters and joined the military. 2 weeks later, I was off to basic training. Became a Chinook mechanic, working on the big helicopter in the sky. It turned my life around immediately. The brotherhood, the self-sacrifice, the serving my country, it fulfilled me, for sure. I have 100 stories of when things could have gone very badly in a helicopter. And looking back at all of my experiences, there wasn't luck involved in any of that. It wasn't random. It was all God, every time. And especially in Afghanistan. That's where it kind of came to a head for me. I was married. My wife was in pharmacy school. I went to Afghanistan. I was pretty positive that I wasn't coming home. We deployed to a small outpost called Fob Shank, Forward Operating Base Shank. Fob Shank had a nickname called Rocket City. They were infamous for getting mortared on a regular basis. While I was there, we got mortared over 392 times. When we first got there, they had a few pictures up on the walls of the men and women that I was serving with that had died at my base. And there were a few. By the time I left, the whole hallway was filled. There was a valley just north of Fob Shank called Tangi Valley. That was a no-fly zone for us. It was late at night, probably 2, 3 in the morning. We were flying back to base. And we were following all of our rules. We were at 2,000 feet above ground level. We had an Apache gunship following us. His call sign was Blue Wolf. Had just cut the corner of the Tangi Valley when I had felt this huge explosion. It had taken my breath away. Immediately blacked out my night vision goggles. And in my peripheral vision, I saw nothing but bright lights. The radio traffic went hectic. The Apache gunship was screaming over the radio that we needed to brake left. Our pilot pulled all of the power that Chinook can pull. We screamed up out of the sky, out of that area. In that moment, we had no idea really what was going on. We knew we were getting shot at, but we had no idea how intense it was. We landed back at Fob Shank, and I've never been more shook up in my life. We kind of did a little huddle of the crew, talked about it for a second, then we proceeded to kind of do a big inspection of the aircraft because there's no way that everything was okay. Not a single scrape on the aircraft, not a bullet hole, nothing. Nothing wrong with the aircraft, other than replacing both engines because we pulled all the power. And we're walking as a crew, and we see one of the pilots from the Apaches come running up to us. He's got tears rolling down his cheeks and he's crying. And he's frantically looking for somebody. And he comes up to us and he says, "Hey, were you guys Blackjack?" We said, "Yep, yeah, we're that crew." And he gives every one of us a huge hug and he's crying, saying how sorry he was because he was the Apache gunship following us. He saw an RPG explosion explode about 5 feet from where I was sitting in the Chinook. And he lost sight of us because of all the gunfire and the explosion. He thought that we had been hit and we were just disintegrated at that point. There's no reason that we should have survived that. If that doesn't make you believe in God, I don't know what will. Coming back home was a hard transition for me. It's hard for my family. I wasn't the same. I had bottled up a lot of the emotions and a lot of the thoughts and a lot of the dreams, and I didn't talk about it. I go to therapy sometimes and tried some antidepressant medications to help with the dreams and the PTSD and all that, but it all just kind of numbed it. It never really helped. Something was still kind of missing. And my wife started bringing me to grace. And over the past year, something just opened my eyes. And I realized that it was Jesus the entire time. From when I was a baby through 18, through the military, through Afghanistan, through my babies, through everything. It was always him. And that gave me the peace that I had always been kind of searching for since Afghanistan. And that's when I fell in love with Jesus. I really did. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm choosing to give my life to him. My anxiety, all of the things that I feel from Afghanistan. And it just is so freeing and it's peaceful. It's one thing to believe in God, and it's a completely different thing to give your life to Jesus